Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Tom Sirey from On the Hot Podcast. Today I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content I will be in the sport of basketball and the NBA world. If you guys haven't checked out episode 91, it is now available on all four of our platforms: our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our YouTube account, and our Apple Podcast account. So let's go ahead and dive into the bonus content I have for you guys today. In this segment, I will be predicting which team that I will believe will come out of the Eastern Conference and represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. So obviously this prediction is set to change. There's a lot of time from now all the way until the playoffs, and of course deep into the playoffs till we get to the NBA Finals. But if the season were to end today, my pick today will be the Milwaukee Bucks to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. They are currently my pick to make it out of the Eastern Conference. Right now, the Milwaukee Bucks are the hottest team in the NBA, no matter what conference it is, Eastern or Western Conference. They are the hottest team in the league right now. They're currently on a 15-game win streak, now are the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. They have a record of 44 wins and 17 losses. That is now the best record in the Eastern Conference. So I'm liking the way how the Milwaukee Bucks are playing basketball right now. They're playing better than anybody else in the league. You could really make an argument that the Boston Celtics will be the team to beat, and they will repeat as Eastern Conference champions like they did last year against the Miami Heat when they beat them in a 7-game series, when the series went all the way to 7. There's a debate there. There's a debate that they can get right back to the NBA Finals because they were 2 games away from winning the championship, falling 4-2 to the Golden State Warriors. However, this year, I'm confident that the Celtics can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I just have the Milwaukee Bucks as the better team right now. And I just trust Giannis way more than I do. When you compare the star players, I trust Giannis way more than I do than Jason Tatum at this particular moment. The way how Giannis is playing at an all-time high this year, offensively and defensively, that is a scary guy to match up against, especially in a 7-game series. So when you talk about, and don't get me wrong, Jason Tatum is having a career year this year also. He has a legitimate chance to win MVP this year as well. But if we're talking about the postseason right now, which player do I trust the most? It would be Giannis over Jason Tatum. Giannis has the experience of being an NBA champion. Giannis has the experience of he has the experience to go ahead and put the Milwaukee Bucks on his back and play confident basketball on both ends of the court. No matter if Drew Holiday doesn't show up for him, no matter if Chris Middleton doesn't show up for him, Giannis can get the job done. Compared to Jason Tatum, we saw if Jason Tatum is supporting cast is struggling in the NBA Finals, it's going to be hard for him to put the team on his back. And I just trust Giannis way more in playoff situations. To me, right now, Milwaukee Bucks are the better team. But a lot of people out there watching and listening might say, well, the Boston Celtics have the Milwaukee Bucks number. If you don't remember, the Celtics sent the Milwaukee Bucks home in a 7-game series last year in the second round, which went to Game 7. But what I have to say to that is, no, I don't think it's that way. I don't think that the Celtics have the Milwaukee Bucks number. Even though the series went to 7 and the Celtics blew out the Bucks in the last game of the series, it was competitive all the way out. But there was one missing ingredient in that 7-game series between the Bucks and the Celtics, and that was that Chris Middleton was nowhere to be found in that whole 7-game series. If you guys remember, he got hurt, had an MCL sprain, I believe, and was sidelined after the first round of the playoffs when the Milwaukee Bucks got past the Bulls. So therefore, they didn't have the deciding X factor which could have helped Giannis and Drew Holiday and company last year in a 7-game series. So the series could have went a whole different direction. We might have not even seen the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals last year if Chris Middleton was healthy, at least 3 out of 4 of these, or at least 3 or 4 games out of this 7-game series. So to me, I think it's 50-50 right now between these teams, but I give the edge to the Milwaukee Bucks. And I just trust their depth way more right now. This team was already good before the trade deadline. They got some key pieces to them to help them out bench-wise, and they have more depth. I trust the depth of this team more than any other team in the Eastern Conference right now. As we speak, they have Giannis, who is one of the greatest players in the NBA. Right now, to me, yes, LeBron James is the GOAT in my opinion, but if you remove LeBron from the conversation, I would say Giannis is the best player in the NBA as we speak today. So they have Giannis, they have Drew Holiday, they have Chris Middleton, they have Brook Lopez, they have Jay Crowder, who they acquired during the NBA trip before the NBA trade deadline expired. They have Grayson Allen, who is a good point guard or a good guard that can shoot from the perimeter. They have Joe Ingles, who they acquired from before the trade deadline expired as well, a good shooter as well. And Bobby Portis, who has that championship experience with those guys as well. So I like the depth of the Milwaukee Bucks. The core that I just mentioned of Giannis, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, they all know what it's like to win a championship, and they all know what it's like to have the playoff experience. Now the Celtics do as well, but they didn't close the door last year when they could have, when they found themselves up, and they just failed to capitalize. And the Golden State Warriors put them away in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. But Celtics to me are the second best team in the East, right behind the Milwaukee Bucks. I just trust the Bucks more. But there's a third team that I will add into the conversation. The third team that has entered the chat in my eyes that has a legitimate chance to compete in the Eastern Conference this playoffs, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. You cannot sleep on this Philadelphia 76ers team. However, the reasons why I will explain in a few moments, but Joel Embiid is looking like a monster out there on a nightly basis. Once again, is putting together a MVP caliber year. We saw last year he fell a few votes short of winning his first MVP in his respective career. This year he's trying to capitalize on that and wow the voters, so therefore he can win his first MVP. So he's looking like a monster out there this year. James Harden is looking healthy as well. This is the best shape I've seen James Harden in since his Houston Rocket days. The whole team looks great. However, I'm concerned about how this team is going to look postseason. They have a history. The coach, Doc Rivers, has a history. He has not gotten over the hump of coaching, getting out of the second round, no matter East or Western Conference, in the last decade. So Doc Rivers has that pressure on him. How well would James Harden adapt to the playoff pressure? James Harden arguably is the greatest regular season player in NBA history. But when it comes to the bright lights of the playoffs, James Harden always disappears. And we definitely saw that last year in that second round against the Miami Heat when Joel Embiid was not 100% throughout the series. James Harden was supposed to step up. That's the reason why they traded for him before last year's trade deadline expired. And he just failed to step up. He looked like a role player out there instead of a former MVP and a superstar that we are accustomed to seeing of James Harden over the years. So I'm concerned about his postseason play. Can Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris step up if Joel Embiid and James Harden can't get going offensively? If they match up against the Milwaukee Bucks or the Boston Celtics, I don't know. We're gonna have to see. That's the big deciding factor to me. Those four deciding factors. Doc Rivers cannot get over the hump coaching, get over past the second round. James Harden always chokes in playoff situations. I'm not sure if Tyrese Maxey or Tobias Harris can step up when it matters the most if Joel Embiid and James Harden can't get going. So therefore, it scares me for the Philadelphia Sixers' chances of making the NBA Finals. And you might say, well, they have Joel Embiid who could carry them. Well, if Joel Embiid matches up to play the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs, no matter what round it is, most likely could be the second round, the way how things are playing out right now. If they match up against the Milwaukee Bucks, it's a matchup nightmare for that team. The defensive matchups are definitely going to determine the fact that the defensive matchups are definitely going to be the deciding factor of that 7-game series, because you'll have Drew Holiday guarding James Harden. Drew Holiday is a competitor and one of the most underrated defenders in the league. He's definitely going to give James Harden a lot of problems defensively. And then when you talk about Joel Embiid, you'll have a selection of 2 7-foot defenders guarding Joel Embiid for most likely majority of the game. Whether that's Brook Lopez, who's playing at all-time high defensively, has a chance to win Defensive Player of the Year as we speak. And then, of course, Giannis, who's one of the best defenders in the league. I just touched up on it on the podcast of my thoughts of him potentially winning Defensive Player of the Year this year. When he's guarding players, they're shooting at a percentage of 38% from the field. So that goes to show you how good Giannis has been defensively this year in the NBA. So when you have an option of 2 7-foot defenders giving Joel Embiid fits defensively, it's just bad matchup nightmares for the Philadelphia 76ers that have to play the Milwaukee Bucks. So therefore, I'm staking my claim of the Milwaukee Bucks making it out of the Eastern Conference as of today to represent the East and play in the NBA Finals. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.